we've been in class together for like 3 years, and I don't really know much about you, unfortunately. So we'll start with just a few of the basics. Where do you come from?
Kansas City is where I've lived for the past couple of years, but originally I'm from Houston, Texas.
So when did you move from Houston, Texas?
7th grade I moved to Wisconsin for half a year, and then I moved to Kansas City right after that. And I've been there since 7th grade, so.
And why did you choose Truman?
I didn't get into my first choice school, and Truman was the only other one I'd applied to, so there really wasn't any reason beyond that they accepted me. So.
And are you still a French major?
Yes, I am.
And is this your only minor?
Yes.
And so why did you get involved with the ROTC program?
I don't have too much of a reason for that either. My stepdad, he retired this past summer, but he was an officer in the United States Army. And over Christmas break, halfway through sophomore year, he basically sat me down and was like, Charlie, I think you'd be a good officer in the Army. I think you should look into it, because I want to do language work with the government. And he thought that would be a good avenue for me to look into, to kind of get into the government that way. And it just seemed like a really big challenge. I was really unsatisfied with the way classes were going. I was just like hating school and just everything. So I figured it'd be worth a shot. And I've stuck with it since then.
And so when did you get into the ROTC program? It wasn't right away.
That is right.
Second semester sophomore year, I started participating in the activities, but I wasn't officially contacted until like Halloween of my junior year. So it took a little less than 2 semesters, but I went to a camp, an Army camp, between my sophomore and junior year to kind of see if I could become a cadet and to kind of catch me up on the first years that I already missed. So.
And where do you see yourself after graduation? Are you graduating in May?
I'm hopefully graduating in May, depending on how my stats class goes. And after that, it's basically wherever the Army sends me. I know I'm going to Fort Lee in Virginia for a couple months to get training, and then I'm just off to my first duty station. So.
And what will Fort Lee be like? What kind of training will it be?
It's branch-specific training. There are a number of different branches in the Army, and as an officer, you're put onto an OML, Order Merit List, and you compete with every cadet in the nation to get your top choices. You rank all of the branches and submit what's called an accessions packet, and they look at your GPA is the number one thing, your PT score, how you did at camp. And based on that, you'll get whatever number for branch choices. So the branch that I got, quartermaster, is probably farther down on my list, like towards the bottom, but because of where I sat on the OML, that's what they were able to give me. So I'm going to get training in that, and it's called Bulk Basic Officers Leadership Course. It's a lot like what we do here, but it's more branch specific than the training here, so that's probably not going to be too different, honestly. So.
And what master did you say you were going to train for? I didn't catch the first part.
What did...
That they're going to put you in at Fort Lee. What did you get from the test?
Quartermaster.
Quartermaster, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't
from the merit list, yeah. So, we basically supply, maintenance, things like that. So, not exactly what I want to do. I haven't done it yet, so we'll see if I like it, but we'll see. So.
And what did you want to do?
I wanted to do military intelligence. That was my number one. And
what does it take to get military intelligence?
A higher GPA than I had. So that's pretty much it. So.
Do you think that, because I know, like I had, before I came here, I considered going into the Army because I was like really worried about paying for education and stuff like that. And that was one of the things that I had conflicted with, because they said, oh yeah, you'll be an intelligence for this and this, right? And I was like, but I was never like tested out for anything. How do you know I'm reliable? So do you know what the, like, what are all those like qualifications that you have to meet in order to be as part of that particular job that you were?
It's really not any qualifications at all. It's just completely based on how you rank on the merit list. That's all it is, pretty much. It's just how high up you are. It's like that's it. There are no other tests besides just what's in the merit list. So.
And do you have a chance to change that? Maybe if you get along with your training.
As far as I know, I do. I can apply for a branch transfer once I get to my unit and switch from a quartermaster to becoming a military intelligence officer. Or when I become a captain, which is about 3 years after I commission, I can enter what's called the captain's career course, which is basically the same thing as a branch transfer. I don't have to go into logistics, which is the next step from quartermaster. Or I could enter into a non-entry level branch of the Army, like civil affairs, or becoming an FAO, which is something I'm really looking into, foreign area officer. They basically pick an area of the world that the Army is engaged in, and they learn about the culture. They specialize in languages in the region, and they're just kind of area experts type things. I think that'd be really interesting. So hopefully I can do that.
And so tell me how, like, a little bit more about how you feel. I know that, like, when you set your goals for yourself, or, anyone at college, and then, you have to wait a little bit longer, or, have to put it off for a little bit. How does that make you feel that you might be, a few more years, but you can still move into the intelligence?
I'm really not too upset, just because I don't know what exactly quartermaster's like. I know it's not what I want, but I don't know that I'll dislike it. The biggest thing about being an Army officer that I'm learning is just that it's not so much branch specific. Like, no matter what branch you are, it's all about leadership and your ability to plan, manage, and just take care of your soldiers. And that's universal. Like, I could be an intelligence officer and I'd still have the same basic responsibilities as I will as a quartermaster. So I'm looking forward to that. That's honestly, I'm studying to be, like, my degree would be in a language, and that's kind of what I focused on. But I'm definitely looking forward to getting the chance to interact with people, kind of lead them, is what my job, it was what the job of an officer is, basically. And I don't think I'll be disappointed, because that's just not going to change no matter where I am, I don't think, so.
And I have a simple question. I feel like I should know this one. But why, it seems like on certain days that the cadets are wearing their uniforms. Why is that? Depending
on your year, you wear them for different reasons. Like, I'm a senior. I'm an MS4 cadet. As a class, the seniors run the battalion. Like, all the training and everything. We plan it. We make sure it happens. We execute it. Things like that. And for us, we have a different set of rules than the underclassmen. For example, Monday, like today, I'm wearing one because we had a training meeting, which is where we go over the operations for the entire week and the weeks following, just to get kind of a handle and plan, make sure everybody's on the same page. Excuse me. We wear them for classes, generally. Lab, we have to wear ACUs for. This is what this is, ACUs. And I know for the underclassmen, for the 300s, they have to wear their SC class. The 200s do as well, but the contracted ones do not have to wear the ACUs to class because they're in with civilians too. So it doesn't make sense to have a few random people sticking out like that. So we just wear it for various reasons. So.
And what other things do you plan for? You mentioned training.
Mm-hmm. The way our class is set up, we've all got different jobs. It's kind of a hierarchy. Like, there's a battalion commander, there's the XO, which is the second highest ranking officer in the battalion. That's me, actually. So I throw that in there. And the BC, basically, he's in charge of what the battalion fails to do or what it does. He kind of oversees everything. He's got just kind of a general grasp on everything that's going on, and he makes the final decision on what we decide to do. With him, and part of his command team is the Cadet Command Sergeant Major. He's basically, it's meant to mirror the officer enlisted duality that you'll find in a normal Army unit. He's basically in charge of enforcing the Army standards as set forth by, like, the regulations, just the traditions, the rules, things like that. he basically just makes sure things are getting done to standard whenever the BC decides needs to happen. The BC just kind of gives an overarching intent, like I want the training to prepare cadets to do well at LDAC, which is the camp that we're getting everybody ready for. And so everybody under him will task out different aspects of what goes into training the cadet to kind of meet that intent. Like my job is XO, I'm in charge of what's called the S shop. There are 6 different S shop positions, and they each handle different aspects of the battalion. Like S1 is personnel. She gets lists of names like people who have allergies for when we're going and doing training in the woods. Like if they have an allergy to bees or something, we need to take that into consideration when we're planning. S2 is Op4 and intelligence. He gets weather data to us. He plans kind of the enemy that we use when we do our 6 missions. The S3 is probably the biggest, and as far as position goes, like the XO and the S3 basically, from my understanding, we kind of run the battalion in a way more hands-on way. And the S3, he tasks out like lab stuff to cover tactics, just day-to-day training ops, just things like that. Especially his biggest role is the FTX, which is field training exercise. It's where we go out one weekend and we spend a couple days and we just do various Army activities like land navigation, and we have the 300s in leadership to kind of see how they lead people, because that's what we're training them to do, just to see what their planning process is like, things like that. And he's got an assistant S3, we've got an S4 who is in charge of supply. People go to them whenever they need stuff for training events like PT or the labs. They've got their own room and they sign out supplies to people whenever they need them and request them. S5 is alumni relations. She's in charge of just contacting the alumni, trying to get like donations, things like that, and just kind of maintaining the link between officers in the Army now, or people who were cadets, and the battalion as it is today. In the S6, we've got somebody to kind of help with the website, things like that. That's more the garrison side of things and the training. We also have another half of that for PT. We've got a PT, senior instructor, and then we've got a bunch of PT techs is what they're called. And their job is to basically come up with a PT plan that will enable the cadets to become physically fit overall, but it's geared really heavily towards passing the APFT, which is a pretty significant event in the Army. I'm sure you've taken it, you know all about that. So we have people that plan it for every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, just different things like that. That's basically how the 400 leadership breaks down, and what we do is we 300s, between your 300 year or your junior year typically, and your 400 year, which is your senior year, your last year as a cadet, you go to a camp at Fort Lewis, Washington called LDAC. And that camp basically, you get evaluated on your leadership and what you know about tactics and just everything that could possibly be thrown at you as a cadet. And the Army basically decides if you're good enough to become an Army officer or not. You have to pass PT test, pass land nav, complete squad sticks patrolling, which is a larger scale stick slaying. It's bigger than a squad. A squad is like 12 guys usually. A patrol is 2 squads. And just a variety of different things like first aid, obstacle courses, just daily garrison ops, marching people to and from places, getting weapons, caring for them, using them properly, maintaining weapon safety is a big thing. Just a lot of different things. It's pretty comprehensive, so yeah, there's a lot that goes into it.
So you said that happens between the 300 and 400 year?
Yep.
Okay. And so it's not necessarily guaranteed. That's like the big final for ROTC. Right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, when you're 300, you're training to do well at camp. After you do well at camp, you know what to expect. Now, and this year, what we're focusing on as a senior class, as an MS 400, what you'll focus on is becoming an actual Army officer. There's a certain kind of LDAC twist. The camp is called LDAC, Leadership Development Assessment Course, or Advanced Camp, depending on who you ask. And it incorporates Army standards, but it's not what actual units will do. Every unit has their own, what's called a standard operating procedure, SOP, and they have their own way of doing things that works best for them. But we train to the LDAC standard. It's not the same as the Army standard. It's on the same level, but it's just a little different. It's everybody that goes to LDAC is trained to be an officer, and being an officer is different from being enlisted. Enlisted are meant to execute orders, and they're the workforce of the Army. The officers, they plan, they implement, and they supervise to make sure that everybody's doing things the way they're supposed to, is basically what our job is. So at LDAC, there's a certain dynamic missing because you don't have the enlisted aspect to it. So it's just working with your peers, just trying to lead them, and it's more geared towards planning and just thinking. It can be pretty mental at times. Sometimes it's surprisingly not, but sometimes it is. So it depends. So
you're organizing and working with other aspiring leaders.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
And do you feel prepared? Do you feel that your major and your minor have prepared you for what's waiting after graduation?
Well, they've definitely made me more well-rounded, but I don't know if it directly correlates to what I'll be doing. Being a French major is kind of random as far as what I'll be doing in the Army is concerned. I've definitely picked up communication skills and just kind of a sensitivity to cultures and just intrinsic differences between two different lifestyles, which might come in handy somewhere along the line in my Army career, especially if I'm getting deployed. But as far as a direct relationship, no, it's not as strong as an exercise science major would. Say their soldier gets hurt, they'll know exactly what's up. I don't really have much to say about that, but I'm sure I'll find some way to use my major.
And is there a chance that you would be deployed?
It's pretty much a guaranteed thing since I'm active duty. So I probably will be within the next year or two. So a couple of my friends who are lieutenants now that graduated last year, they're already in Afghanistan, Iraq, I think places like that. So not everybody is, but more and more people are going over. So it's probably going to happen pretty soon after. So.
And how do you feel about that? What are your thoughts?
I don't really have any. I'm not sure. That's all I've got to say about that, though.
And what's something that you would consider as one of your most perhaps favorable accomplishments throughout your university career?
My university career? This is going to sound horrible, but none of them really have to do with the academic side of things. A lot of them do have to do with ROTC just because of how it helped me as a person and how much I've developed since I started the program. I feel a lot more confidence, not so much in myself, but in what I can do. And I feel like I understand. I see things differently than I used to. I feel like I'm a lot more open and just willing to try things and get out there and put myself in uncomfortable situations and just give it my all. And one of the biggest things I've gotten from ROTC is that even when things don't go well, I can still pick myself back up and keep going and just try again. So that's probably, as far as personally, that's one of the biggest accomplishments I think that I've gotten or I've accomplished from ROTC. I think you know what I mean. So.
Well, that's interesting because I think I don't know. And have you? I know ROTC fills up a lot of your time, especially throughout the summer. Mm-hmm. But it sounds like through what you feel like is one of your most accomplished feats is what some people might feel during if they complete an internship is that that kind of on the job. This is what I can do, and this is where my learning has taken me so far. Is that kind of similar?
Yeah, I feel like it's really similar to that. It's just different situations, same idea. So I'm sure people, you don't have to join the Army to feel that. It's just that's the way it was for me. I feel like I had a lot more fun doing that than doing an internship. So, yeah, I feel like it's the same idea. And people can still get that satisfaction with whatever they do. It's whatever's right for them. And I feel like the Army's right for me. It just kind of clicks. So.
And can you explain that a little more, why it kind of clicks? You're just comfortable? Or?
I've been trying to figure that out myself. It's just, I think a lot of it has to do with the type of people that I get to be around. It's just like, these are some of the best people I've ever had the chance to meet in my life. And just, like, the students are amazing. It's just incredible just to see people do what they do on a daily basis. It's pretty inspirational and moving. And I guess I feel like what I do here feels significant, which is something that's important to me. And that's something that I wanted. I just wanted to feel like what I did mattered. And RTC gave that to me. I think that's part of the reason why it clicked. But I think I just wanted to challenge myself. And I'm getting that challenge. And at least right now, I'm not going to speak for the future. I'm pretty sure it's not going to change, but it just feels like it's what I was meant to do. Just kind of the way I think seems to lend itself well to the Army. So, yeah, it feels right. Or at least it feels nice. So, I don't know. We'll find out. But
all right, and just one more question.
Yes.
A few of the other cadets have said that through the ROTC program, they're able to feel and complete a sense of like they're part of a bigger picture, and it makes sense. But I didn't push them a little further on that question as if when I should have. And so if you feel the same way, which you kind of mentioned that you feel like a part of a bigger picture, what is that bigger picture that you feel like?
That, well, just really quick, that was something that I never really understood before, the whole bigger picture thing. But I guess a really simplistic way of explaining it would be just kind of straightforward, simplistic. Like what I do, like what I say to somebody affects them. And the way the Army's set up, you have like a soldier and they have a battle buddy. And their battle buddies within a fire team. And there are 2 fire teams in a squad. And it just kind of grows, it kind of ripples out from there. And you just feel like your actions can affect the larger scope of things. But in another sense, there's something understood between everybody that wears the uniform. It's hard to explain, but there's just this knowledge. Like, you just know something about that person. Like, you just feel this connection with them. It's like you've been through some of the stuff I have. You know what it feels like. It's just common experiences, common values, for the most part. It's just, I think that lends itself well to feeling like you fit in, you have a better comprehension of the bigger picture. And it's just something about the military, like even different branches like Air Force, Marines, like there's a bit of rivalry, but it's in good fun. But you just feel like you know something about that person, and you can just talk to them, because it's hard to explain to somebody who hasn't gone. I'm not saying I've been through like the worst stuff or anything as moving as some other people might have, but what I've been through as a cadet has shown me that I just lost my train of thought. It's, unless you've been through it, it seems like it's kind of hard to explain. Like, not just like the thought processes that go on, but just like the feeling that you have. It's kind of indescribable, but you just know. There's just something that's just there between you and anybody else who's wearing this. So that's something that I also really like about it, that I wasn't expecting at all. But it's like you go through the suck together, and it's one of those things. So it's something else. So. Yep.
Okay, well, I kind of lied. You ran 18 miles, what was that, a week ago or 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago. Last week was 7.5. Yep.
That was amazing.
That was part of something else, though. So.
Okay. And what's the 18 miles for?
The 18 miles, myself and a group of about 8 or 9 other members of ROTC, including one cadre member, are training for a marathon called the Baton Memorial Death March down in New Mexico. It's a commemorative march for when U.S. prisoners, including Filipino soldiers and civilians, were surrendered to the Japanese, and they had to go to a prison camp, but there wasn't enough room. So they were forcibly marched 60 miles without food, without water. There were wanton executions. People who fell behind were killed or run over by trucks, and basically the people were massacred as they went on. And it was just, yeah. And what we're doing, basically just kind of doing this is just to kind of recognize what they went through and like just the suffering and the sacrifice that they had to endure, and just to kind of give us a sense of personal accomplishment, I guess, because we're going to be doing it in the middle of the desert, 26 miles, 5 of it's up a mountain.